so embarrassed on the first day. I turned up in like a three-piece suit. And I had a tie on, and everyone was like, what are you wearing? Like, get that off.
Really?
Tie's got to go. And slowly I started to blend in with the typical finance get up, the three-quarter zips, the gilets, the loafers.
The signet rings.
Yeah, exactly.
Get out. Okay, so the first 3 years were great.
Unbelievable. Well, great for me, maybe not for, my parents back home or whatever, but for me, what I wanted at that time, it was amazing. I was hungry, I was naive. I wanted that lifestyle that looked great on the outside, and Wallstreet provided me with that. The client entertaining, I was going on ski trips, the best nightclubs, restaurants in the city, all paid for. Every event, Grand Prix, Super Bowls, whatever, we were there. And at the same time, the actual job itself was extremely exciting. It was like a sports locker room, for 12, 13 hours a day, you're grinding, everyone's shouting, effing blinding at each other. And then after work, you go out for pints. Next thing you know, it's 6 a.m. and you're going straight to work. Yeah.
I can see the appeal. And actually, in your 20s, it could be great.
Yeah, exactly, which it was. So I was a broker. I sat between investment banks and hedge funds.
But just to put the record straight, I'm thick as shit, so I don't know much about Wall Street, finance, broker, any of this stuff. So you'll suddenly have to explain to me. So you get in at 6:30 in the morning.
6:30 in the morning, and we have our company had offices in London and Singapore. So in the morning, you get in, you speak to them about what's been trading in the market, and then you start to speak to your clients in New York. And then all day, you're just facilitating trading activity between investment banks and hedge funds, putting parties together. So for example, an investment bank will come to you and say, I want to buy 100 million I was in FX derivatives. But let's just, for easy terms, let's just say I was trading stocks. An investment bank would come to you and say, I want to buy $100 million of Facebook stock. I would find them a price from other counterparties, other banks and hedge funds, and then, they'd trade on the best price possible. I'd try and get them the best price, and we'd have to negotiate those deals.
Bloody hell. What's the biggest sum of money you ever had to sort of deal with?
Well, it's not real money, is it? So it sounds like we trade billions of dollars a day, like our desk specifically of like 6-7 people. But it's a drop in the water for those firms.
Yeah. And so, okay, so then what about the sort of social wild side that went along with all of this?
Being a broker, there's not too much skill in it. The skill comes from the client relationship side, which is why you have to consistently take these people out. And our clients, they're from the upper echelon of lifestyle, let's say. They go to the best schools, they go to the best universities, they've got a certain standard. So you take them out to the best dinners, the best restaurants. And a lot of them, let's say, are not that social. So that's where you come in. You take them out, show them a nice time, introduce them to girls, take them to the club. Yeah. And you do all that to butter them up to get business the next day, essentially.
It's sort of like quite twisted, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Like, it's sort of, you're almost like a pimp kind of thing. But no, but as in you are essentially in a way. And then when did it slightly start going wrong?
Well, it's weird because I can't really put it back to like one moment. But, the first 3 years, I was drinking, doing whatever else. And it was, the night would finish, I'd go home, I'd be functional. My relationships weren't in tatters. I was acting in ways that I was still somewhat proud of. And then slowly, I think, now I look back, the signal point was that instead of, I would always want to carry on the party. And it didn't matter who with, I could meet some random guy in a bar, my friends had gone home, my clients had gone home, but I just didn't want the party to finish, so I'd carry that on, and at times I'd be drinking and doing whatever else on my own after the party's finished, just because I didn't want it to end, and those sort of moments. And now, when I look back on, are quite dark, and it was never usually like that initially. And
was there a lot of sort of drugs in the workplace?
Yeah.
Yeah, really. So it's kind of like, in my head, I am obviously just imagining Wolf of Wall Street. Was it? And it was. So it was quite like that.
Yeah, 100%. I think comes hand in hand with for most people, at least in England and the States. Cocaine comes hand in hand with alcohol, and
you can't escape it.
Yeah, you can't escape it. Unfortunately, I wouldn't. For years, I couldn't remember the last time that I was drunk because I'd have one drink and. Actually, I'd have the drink just so I could justify getting on the packet,
Really?
Yeah.
God, it's intense. But I mean, I would imagine, did a lot of, it was, I'm assuming, very commonplace in terms of like, was there anyone that you worked with that didn't partake in any of that?
Yeah.
So some people managed to stay strong.
Yeah, but they weren't necessarily the best at their job, right? Because there were people on the desk that didn't really entertain much, but it's such an integral part of the business. And there's other shops that you're competing with that are entertaining, that it's important that you go out and do that. And unfortunately, although you could say that you could go out sober, what person that's drunk and wants to party wants to go out with someone sober? So the clients don't necessarily feel comfortable with you or want to go out with you, right? So you kind of have to morph into that person and be the life of the party.
Did you almost get to a point where you forgot what you were like prior to that person you almost took on when you were in Wallstreet?
Definitely, because I do feel like it was somewhat of a bravado, you know, that I was putting on. Because I remember my boss said to me pretty early on at my first firm that I started at that, you know, I was like, how do you get clients? You know, what? And he said very clearly, just make sure you always go out with a packet of cigarettes and a bag of packets. So in my head, it's ingrained in me that, you know, I need to be this guy in order to be successful at the job.
It's mental though, isn't it? How that's what attracts people. Like, as in, do you know what I mean? It's odd.
Yeah. I mean, when he said that at the time, I was like, yeah, this is great. This is
I think anyone probably would have done.
Exactly.
Until you hit 30 and you're like, what the fuck have I done? God, that is mental. And so you did 6 full years there. And after the first 3, things just started getting a bit out of control.
Out of control. The job at the start, me entertaining was making me better at my job. After, you know, in the back end of my career, it was starting to affect it. You know, I was starting to I'd go out all night. Sometimes I would go straight to the office. I'd leave people in my flat that were still partying. You know, I'd come back at lunchtime, do a bit of whatever, and then go back. But there'd been times that towards the end of my career, I just wouldn't turn up. I'd go missing. You know, my desk were calling around my girlfriend, calling around whatever, because I just completely carried on the party.
What did your girlfriend say about it? Did she struggle to... Is this the same girlfriend you're with now?
Somehow, the same girlfriend I'm with now, to be honest. But
What did she say at the time? Like, did it put a lot of strain on your relationship?
A lot of strain, yeah. And I don't regret my time on Wallstreet because ultimately it, you know, I think you have to go through those things to really figure out who you are. But I regret how it affected people in my life, my girlfriend, my family, or whatever.
What did your family have to say about it all?
Well, I'm my mum's only child. Right. So the fact that I was in America anyway is tough, you know, especially as they get older. And she knew, we have a very honest relationship. Like, she knew what I was like. She knew that I liked to dabble in those things. And it would be very stressful for her.
Yeah, I bet. And are we talking this is every single day?
At least 4 or 5 nights. Like, for example,
Were you not fucking knackered?
This sounds like an exaggeration, but my girlfriend will back these stories up. People I work with will back these stories up. Monday, Tuesday, I would not even want to think about alcohol, because at this point, at the same time, I was trying to go sober. In my mind, I was literally serious that I didn't want to drink anymore.
Really?
Right?
While you're still on Wallstreet?
While I was still on Wallstreet, like towards the back end, because I knew how detrimental it was being.
Yeah.
I'm quite an ambitious guy, and I could see how it was affecting where I wanted to go in life. But Wednesday would come around and starting to feel good again. The hangover started to go. And next thing you know, it's Friday. I've literally haven't slept. I've gone out from Wednesday through to Friday, haven't slept. The weird thing is about doing a rollover, you feel awful throughout the whole day. You come out and it's almost like, wow, I've got a new lift of energy. You come out of work and suddenly someone asks you to go for a pint and you're back on it again. And that lifestyle is also very common in finance, because we work early hours and you go out late. If you're getting in at 5 a.m, there's no point going to sleep. You just carry on and go right through.
But was it, did you notice, would it affect the way your brain was working? I mean, I'm useless after a drink. My God, I can barely speak.
But you'd carry on, I guess, with the other stuff, with the uppers to keep you going. Yeah.
Jesus. Looking back, if someone came to you and said they wanted to consider like working on Wallstreet, what would your advice be?
Depend on the person. If I felt like they were similar to me, quite impressionable, I'd probably say no. But some people would be able to go and work in that job and not get up to those things. It's not like everyone is like that. A lot of people are. But
sorry, how many years ago was this?
I left in 2022.
Oh, fuck. So it's actually it's very recent.
Yeah, relatively recent.
And do you think it will ever change, or do you think the whole social aspect of what that job entails will always have to be the same?
In the space that I'm in, it's definitely changed in comparison to what it was like, but it's still so much like that. And obviously you're getting these new wave of people that are coming through, the younger generations that don't want to do those things.
I know the younger generation, they don't want to drink.
It's
Don't know what's
crazy.
happened. It's mental.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good, obviously, but it's very different. Like,
In a corporate setting, it causes friction, right? Because you've got the older boss who naturally thinks the way to connect with his team is out for pints after work.
yeah,
They feel obliged to go, but they don't drink. It creates a
people don't like it. People, I've realised, are funny if you don't drink.